This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Honoring Jack and Lily, the community holds a candlelight vigil in Stellarton for the missing children. Ketamine therapy, how the drug in low doses is helping some Nova Scotians find relief from depression. And soccer nationals were at the open practice in Halifax for the Canadian men's team.
Lots of sunshine over the next couple of days as the summer-like warmth returns from the southwest. Your full forecast is coming up.
There were prayers and speeches in Stellarton Monday night at a candlelight vigil to honor siblings Jack and Lily Sullivan. It marked 1 month since the two young children were reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station. Angela McIver reports.
Tonight is about saying a prayer, and we're going to light the way home for them.
A paper lantern for 4-year-old Jack, another for 6-year-old Lily, released into the twilight sky as a beacon of hope.
Illuminate the path for Lily and Jack. Guide their footsteps home.
One by one, people placed candles, teddy bears, and angels outside the Stellarton RCMP detachment, a growing memorial as many questions are still unanswered.
Investigators remain committed to exploring all possibilities surrounding the children's disappearance. We want to thank all those who provided tips and information. Please know that we're fully engaged in finding out what happened to Lily and Jack.
Some family members of the two children looked on as dozens of community members showed they care.
It's like every parent's worst nightmare. You don't ever want to have to ever go through something like this. And I think it's good to show them that their community is here for support if they need it.
Search and rescue volunteers have scoured a total of 8.5 square kilometers surrounding the children's home. The latest search happened this past weekend when crews focused on a pipeline trail where a boot print was previously found. Tell me what that's been like living here in this community and having to watch this unfold day after day.
It's hard because with Facebook, you're on Facebook every morning, check and see if there's an update. You go to the RCMP site to see if there's an update, and then you hear about searches, and your heart just breaks every time because you pray that today will be the day that they bring them home.
Angela McIver, CBC News, Stellarton.
Councillors in Pictou County passed a motion to protect the River John watershed from the impacts of uranium exploration. The vote comes after the province opened the Louisville area to development proposals.
We're all on individual wells. So the second motion was to ensure that that no harm will come to our drinking water.
Council also passed a motion to ask the province to pause its plans for uranium exploration. The QE2 Foundation has been offering ketamine therapy to Nova Scotians with severe depression since 2023. But due to limited funding and resources, only a handful of people are eligible for the treatment on a compassionate basis. As Selena Alders reports, some think it should be part of the province's public health care system.
Sherry Topple is one of the few Nova Scotians who've received ketamine therapy. The treatment is limited in the province due to a lack of funding. For decades, Sherry's world was overshadowed by the crushing weight of depression that no medication or therapy seemed to fix. It wasn't until she tried ketamine therapy that she finally felt a sense of relief.
The hope of a successful treatment or even a successful reprieve from the absolute mental torture is astounding, and hope really does save people.
Ketamine is an anesthetic used in medical or veterinary surgery. Selling or possessing the drug is illegal in Canada unless it's approved for scientific purposes. Dr. Abraham Nunes leads the QE2 ketamine program. He says the drug is safe in a controlled setting and can be life-changing for people dealing with depression.
Whenever I have students or residents with me and they see someone before they got ketamine and then after they benefited from it, it's usually like, almost miraculous.
Nunes has treated about 20 patients since 2023, but the QE2 is now raising money to try and expand the program with the hope of one day receiving more stable government funding. The health department currently has no plans to include ketamine in the province's pharmacare program. But patients like Lisa Harrett who require more infusions than the QE2 can offer have to turn to private clinics to the tune of $12,000 per year.
If there's a treatment out there that would work after multiple failures, why wouldn't we do it for people? It's not like you wouldn't treat other illnesses that there's a treatment for out there.
For now, Nunes and his small team will continue to provide what they can to the patients who need it the most. Selena Alders, CBC News, Halifax.
And here's Ryan now with the first look at the weather. And I know a lot of folks made sure they got outside for at least a walk during lunch hour.
Yeah, and that's going to be just what the doctor ordered for the next couple of days. Get outside to soak up some of that vitamin D. The next couple of days looking even nicer than today. Thank you so much, Amy. As we have a look, actually, let's not jump right through that. Let's have a look at these high temperatures today. Worth taking a look at. High teens, low 20s, most of us into the low 20s. Even along parts of the coast with those light sea breezes. This is going to be the case again for Wednesday. As you can see, this area of high pressure is just going to continue to keep the skies mostly clear for your Wednesday. Temperatures are going to be even warmer than they were today. For the most part in the 24 to 28 range. Now the winds will be light and onshore for the most part from the south to southwest. And so the coolest coastlines are going to be, yes, the Atlantic coastline and back into the Tri-County area. No doubt about that. And we will be looking at up and towards the Cobequid Bay area, a bit of an onshore sea breeze there. More where this came from for Thursday. What does the 7-day hold? Well, we'll walk into that as well with your full forecast coming up in a few minutes.
One day at a time.
That's right.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
With the spring lobster season having come to an end in Nova Scotia, some harvesters say tariffs from China and the United States had them struggling to keep their heads above water. The CBC's Josh Hoffman reports.
Garrett Henneberry is wrapping up his season on the water. He grew up in a family of lobster fishers, and now at 25, he's trying to make a go of it on his own. But tariffs have made it a tough spring.
Not great, to be honest. I mean, it's definitely pretty stressful, right?
Most fishers in the region got $8 a pound for lobster this season, down from $10 last spring. Henneberry says the lower prices, coupled with smaller catches, have made it hard, especially for younger fishers.
Licenses are very expensive, and our boat payments, I mean, that's not cheap either, right? So we're trying to do the best we can, right? And there's a lot of young people that are getting into it that have these big payments that they have to make, and it's definitely not easy for them.
On the eastern shore, Craig Hartland says there was such a slow start to the season, many crews in his area didn't even bother going out on the water. Hartland, who has been fishing lobster for nearly 30 years, says the drop in price wasn't great, but the fact that it didn't fluctuate throughout the season allowed them to adapt.
It was okay. It was an average season. The prices stayed level throughout the season, like they didn't drop too low. As we were talking about tariffs and some people were going to bring the traps in and give up. And anyway, we just kept at it and things did work out.
Hartland says what did make their jobs more challenging was ongoing restrictions on fishing for lobster in the Halifax Harbor. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans hasn't allowed traps to be set within 300 meters of any pier or boat structure inside the harbor the last 2 years. Hartland says there was zero consultation with fishers over that decision.
We're only in the harbor so many months, right? It's not a lot, and we could stick close to shore, different places where we don't bother anybody. So just to kick everybody right out was really hard.
A spokesperson with the Lobster Council of Canada tells CBC News overall they would like to see more communication between government and industry stakeholders moving forward. But with the unique challenges fishers face this season caused by global economic uncertainty, they need to find new markets outside of the United States and China. Josh Hoffman, CBC News, Halifax.
Improvements will begin this month to expand cellular service in the province. The CEO of Build Nova Scotia says the first phase of the program will see almost 20 of 27 existing sites upgraded by the end of this year. And the first of 27 new towers will be ready early next year.
We are striving to do 100% of the province, though. I mean, that's the goal. Will we get there? I don't know, but we're going to try our darndest to get as close as we can to 100%.
Benoit says a final phase of the program will assess remaining gaps. There's no timeline yet for that work. The Royal Canadian Navy is working to replace its aging vessels. New ships are being built and new submarines will soon be purchased. But in the meantime, crews have to work with what they have. CBC's Brett Ruskin has more.
19 meters. Breaking.
Aboard Canada's submarines, each sailor has a job. So does every pipe, switch, and cable. But what happens when a part wears out on a 30-year-old sub?
It's becoming very, very challenging to get replacement parts that are very much needed.
Paul Bishop at Dalhousie University thinks he has a solution: 3D printing metal parts. Fine powdered metal gets pumped towards a central laser, which draws the shape of the metal part layer by layer.
And with that, we're able to melt and solidify powder particles into much smaller and intricate shapes and geometries.
The powders are specific alloys of copper, nickel, aluminum, and other metals, all meeting military standards. And they know that because the powder is made from old recycled parts from other Navy warships. The military gives them pieces like these, which Bishop and his team drop into their gas atomizer. It's the largest one of any university in Canada.
And so it's those alloys that we're melting and converting into powder to assess their printability, if you will.
Once perfected, this process could make military parts quicker and cheaper than other techniques like casting or forging. And it'd be done here in Canada at a time when security and sovereignty are key supply chain considerations.
This means that we won't have to rely on other nations outside of Canada to do this very important work for the Navy over the long term.
Even though this research is focused on making parts for military vessels, it's not just limited to that. The civilian marine sector, the aerospace industry, the airplane industry all use similar alloys in the products and parts that they require as well. So this 3D printing process could assist a variety of different industries once it becomes mainstream. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
Police in Cape Breton are cracking down on ATV users who drive on city streets. Cape Breton Regional Police say they've received a number of calls about motorized vehicles on roadways. Many of those calls are related to underage people dangerously operating the machines.
Well, last year we had 299 reports of ATVs and dirt bikes in different areas of the CBRM. So we're stepping up patrols in the area. And with summer coming on, springtime now, summer coming on, we figure it's going to be an increase in travel.
Police say fines for not following the rules can range from $400 to $1,000 for first offenses. Tonight is a big night at Halifax's Wanderers grounds, which is hosting an open practice for Canada's men's national soccer team. It is the first time the Canadian men's team has visited Halifax, and it's happening as the team prepares for the next summer's World Cup. The CBC's Gareth Hampshire joins us live at the Wanderers grounds. Gareth.
Amy, it is a great atmosphere here at the Wanderers grounds. There's estimated to be 2,500 people here. And this is for a practice to watch stars of Canada's men's national team. And people are here really to show the love for this team and the players who've come together to be in Halifax for this training camp. Lots of fans here are here to support Nova Scotia's own Jacob Schaffelberg from Port Williams. He now plays with Nashville. Lots of number 14 jerseys in the crowd and people hoping to see him in action. Witnesses speed up close, and there'll be a lot of people trying to get photos and autographs with him tonight as he prepares for next year's World Cup.
I think one of the main heroes is obviously Jacob Schaffelberg, as he should be. But you know, we really wanted to bring the whole team here so that all of Canada can get a little bit of taste of what this team is, who these guys are, and that will help garner energy for what next summer for the World Cup will be.
It's another real coup for Halifax as a soccer city. There's already 2 professional teams, men's and women's, with the Wanderers and the Tides. And Halifax also hosted Canada's national women's team when they played Brazil. So now it's the men's turn to take center stage as they prepare for matches against Ukraine and Ivory Coast. And this time next year, this squad will be carrying Canada's hopes in the World Cup. And it couldn't be a better night for it, Amy. Beautiful tonight.
Beautiful indeed. Thanks, Gareth. That's Gareth Hampshire reporting for us live tonight. And it is a beautiful night out there. Look over Halifax Harbor. Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast.
The weather update is brought to you by Tourisme Gaspésie. Plan your stay in Gaspésie at tourismegaspésie.com and enjoy extraordinary moments.
Yeah, to have Wednesday off and maybe go to the beach or dip your toes in the water, it sounds like a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And Thursday's going to be right there with it. Maybe a bit breezier on Thursday. If you were going to pick a beach day to, dip your toe in the water.
It'll still be cold.
Yeah, that's right. And you will see the water temperatures on my map. I've just updated those. They definitely have bumped up over the last couple of days, but still single digits. Still very, very refreshing.
Yeah.
Have a look at our webcam video for this evening. And an absolutely beautiful spot there, Lower Truro. Yes, fantastic. And it's just a really, really nice evening. You can see current temperatures out there still hanging on to the teens and low 20s. Terrific. Now, The winds generally light today, which has been nice. We will see this continue into tomorrow. Note sustained winds in the 10 to 20 range. Actually, likely those winds will be even a little bit lighter for tomorrow. We are seeing some gusts upwards of 30 kilometers per hour this evening. Yeah, the winds will be a little bit lighter for tomorrow, and then likely will be a backup in that range that's out there right now, again, for Thursday. We've got a weather system that's just throwing a little bit of cloud cover up towards Guysborough and Cape Breton right now. That is well offshore, but it's going to stay there. Big ridge of high pressure that stretches from the Carolinas all the way up the eastern seaboard into Atlantic Canada, and that is what's bringing us the sunshine. We've got a low pressure system riding from the Great Lakes into Hudson Bay to the Great Lakes and all the way back down to the U.S. South. And let's have a look at those temperatures. And yes, thankfully some cooler weather and some wet weather that has been rolling through with that system in through the prairies and into Manitoba for the wildfire situation there. Can you spot the cold front? Yes, I think most of us can, as we can see here on the east side of the front, surging into the high 20s, low 30s, just 15 in Minneapolis, 19 in Kansas City, and that front will continue to work its way eastward, but we're going to be tapping into that very, very warm air mass here over the next couple of days. Temperatures tonight are going to be ranging between 7 and 10 degrees. The winds are going to be light. As we walk you through the timeline, not much to report here. Just, it looks fantastic as we work our way throughout the day on Wednesday. We're going to be looking at those mostly sunny skies. Temperatures between let's say 20 to 25 for most of Cape Breton. It will be a bit cooler in those onshore winds, primarily Cape Breton County, Richmond County, onshore sea breeze for Guysborough County. But I think the town of Guysborough back towards Port Hawkesbury will likely be near 24. Antigonish at 28. Similar story for Pictou, New Glasgow, back to Tatamagouche, Truro, looking like temperatures are going to be very, very warm, high 20s, but a bit cooler right along parts of the coast, hence Tatamagouche, back towards Amherst around 22, 21 Parsborough. It looks like Halifax will be right around 24, but if you're right at Peggy's Cove, likely closer to 15 or 16 degrees. Similar story, Lunenburg, South Shore, down to Liverpool and Shelburne. That sea breeze will be felt there tomorrow. Temperatures nicely into the mid-20s for the valley, maybe even a little bit warmer than that. A bit of cloud cover in the mix for Wednesday, for Wednesday night rather, back into the mostly sunny skies for Thursday, and we've got a weak frontal boundary starting to approach New Brunswick, but it will stay at bay for Thursday. As you can see, temperatures will range between 24 and 28. Little bit more enhanced sea breeze there along that Atlantic coastline. Really not much to report even with that. Note that frontal boundary will then be overhead for Friday with some spotty showers. Looks like the clouds may dominate a little bit. Saturday's a little up in the air, but it's right now our best chance of seeing some sunshine. Not so much for Sunday. Surprise, surprise, Amy. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a track record going, don't we?
We do. We're going to break it at some point here.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Maybe next weekend. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Coming up, councillors with the municipality of Pictou County weigh in on the issue of uranium exploration. Pictou County Council has passed a motion urging the province to hit pause on its plans for uranium exploration. The Nova Scotia government issued a request for exploration proposals at 3 sites it believes to have uranium deposits. I'm joined now by Pictou County Councillor Ronald Bailey. He represents the Louisville area, near one of the areas where the province believes there is uranium. So, sir, what have you been hearing from your residents about possible exploration?
I've been hearing, different opinions. The main thing that I've been hearing is that people are looking for more answers than what they've been getting so far.
Well, tell me a bit about the meeting last night and the motions that council passed, starting with the pause button that they're looking for.
Yeah. Okay, so at last night's meeting, Barb Harris, who is a resident from River John, did a presentation. And in her presentation, she had 2 requests for 2 motions. One was to pause any uranium mining for a period of time to allow residents get more information in regards to the issues as to how they're going to do this safely. That motion passed at 11-4, 1 against. And it was a letter will be sent off to the province asking for that pause. Whether it happens or not, we'll have to wait to see.
I understand the second one was about protecting a local waterway.
Well, yeah, actually, it was called the River John watershed. We do not have any protected watersheds in the District 4 or the River John area. We're all on individual wells. So the second motion was to ensure that that no harm will come to our drinking water, and it was. It's basically not just quite the River John area, but it's a surrounding areas of River John that will be included. And that motion passed 7-5 in favor.
Are you more optimistic that you'll get some response to that one?
Well, the most important part to me is that we put ourselves on record that we are concerned on our drinking water. So we are on record saying, if you're going to mine it and you're going to ensure that we have safe drinking water, tell us how you're going to do that.
Now, proposals for exploration must be made to the Department of Natural Resources by June 11th. If there's a successful applicant, that will be announced by July 7th and a license issued by July 11th. What do you make of the pace at which the province is moving on this?
They seem to be moving very fast. There's probably some reason for it on their part. I think I think the most important part that we're missing right now is public consultation with DNR. We're going to have it with the concerned group on Thursday night here in the village. But I think it's important that the government comes out and answers or try to answer some of the questions that the residents have that's not being answered right at the moment.
So what are you expecting from that meeting Thursday night?
I think it's just going to be more an information session on the effects of uranium mining, probably more the, I guess it would be more just the effects of uranium mining based on past studies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Are you expecting a big turnout? I know a meeting earlier in Hants County had a lot of people.
Yeah, I am. I'm expecting that the hall will be full.
All right, we'll have to see what happens Thursday night. Councillor, we appreciate your time and thanks very much.
Okay, no problem.
Coming up, Canadian steel and aluminum producers brace for impact with U.S. tariffs set to double at midnight tonight. And as wildfires continue to spread in Western Canada, more than 25,000 people have now been forced from their homes. Welcome back. The White House says U.S. President Trump will double tariffs for steel and aluminum starting Wednesday.
Steel and aluminum tariffs will be going to 50%. He made that announcement in Pennsylvania, and he plans to deliver on that promise to Pennsylvanians.
Trump had announced his plan to increase import duties to 50% at a U.S. steel plant on Friday. In March, the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. A steep 50% hike could hurt industries and consumers on both sides of the border, with prices going up for big-ticket purchases like cars, washing machines, and even homes. The UN is demanding an investigation into another deadly incident involving an aid distribution site in southern Gaza. Palestinian authorities and witnesses say Israeli forces fired on civilians. Local health officials are reporting at least 27 were killed. It is the third deadly incident involving people heading to aid sites in as many days. The CBC's Tom Perry reports from Jerusalem. But first, a warning: this story contains details and video that some may find disturbing.
Palestinians once again coming under fire near a site that was supposed to offer relief. An aid distribution center in southern Gaza where hungry crowds gathered in hopes of receiving food. I went for a kilo of flour, says Kamel Mana. Then there were gunshots. I was injured and there was still shooting. As Palestinian families mourn the dead, medical teams struggle to save lives.
The doctors here that have been dealing with this for almost 2 years now are overwhelmed. They're stretched. They don't have the supplies they need. Multiple casualties from Rafah food distribution center. Gunshot wounds to the head, gunshot wounds to the chest.
Israel's military says it is not targeting civilians, that its troops opened fire after first firing warning shots toward what it calls suspects.
And as some of the suspects continued, despite these warning shots, advancing towards the troops in a threatening manner, further fire was directed near these specific individuals.
Gaza's health ministry says 31 Palestinians were killed Sunday in the same area, again waiting for aid. Israel denies any involvement in those deaths, but the UN is demanding answers.
There must be a prompt and impartial investigation into each of these attacks and those responsible held to account.
All this coming as civilians in Han Yunis are forced out by an Israeli evacuation notice as Israel's military continues its fight against Hamas. The UN says these incidents show Israel's efforts to control the flow of aid into Gaza aren't working and are putting more lives at risk, reminding the Israeli government willfully blocking food and other vital supplies could constitute a war crime. Tom Perry, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Wildfires in Saskatchewan continue to force more people out of their homes. Residents in the L'Orange area spent Monday night driving through hazardous conditions to evacuate. And in other parts of the province, fires are now entering communities and damaging structures. Alexander Silberman reports.
Fast-moving flames have forced more than 7,000 people in the L'Orange area to flee their homes, the latest community in Saskatchewan under an evacuation order. High winds pushed wildfire dangerously close to the community Monday, with flames breaching the airport about 6 kilometers from town. Residents of L'Orange, Air-Ronge, the Lac-L'Orange Reserve, and anywhere within a 20-kilometer radius were ordered to evacuate late Monday afternoon.
Holy
Hundreds of cars have been traveling down the main road out of town under hazardous conditions. Fire burning on both sides of the highway. Heavy wildfire smoke and limited to zero visibility is making the evacuation slow. The province says vehicles are being escorted through, only when safe to do so.
There was fire burning on both sides of the road, and to me, that's too close for comfort.
Adding to the chaos, limited gas and widespread phone and internet outages. And with the airport closed due to heavy smoke and fire, patients at the local hospital had to be taken out by ambulance instead of by plane. In Saskatchewan's northeast, more people have been forced to leave Denair Beach. The final remaining firefighters and all essential staff were evacuated yesterday. The southern half of the community has burned to the ground as neighbors watched from afar.
We shared video camera footage from our cameras of our houses until each one sequentially lit on fire.
Thousands of evacuees are arriving here in Prince Albert in search of help and a place to stay. This hotel is where tired and relieved evacuees from L'Orange are arriving to register with the Red Cross. But accommodations are quickly filling up, and many are driving hours south in search of a place to stay. The province is now looking to Alberta, hoping evacuees might be able to go there. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
CBC Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault has been given special access to the Canadian military operation in Manitoba. In her exclusive reporting from the PAW, she brings us a first-hand look at the various aircraft assisting with the wildfire evacuations.
Okay, so this is the tarmac at the PAW. I just want to orient you here. Those yellow and red planes, those are the fire bombers from the province of Manitoba. If we come around here, some of these military helicopters that you see, these are Griffins. These are smaller choppers that have been going in and out of some of the communities. They can only take, like maybe 10 people at the most. The real workhorses, though, are right back there. You can see a Chinook. It's the Chinooks that have been bringing people out of Puckatawagan. It's hard to land and take off in Puckatawagan, especially with the heat. A Hercules plane has real trouble in extreme heat getting the lift it needs. It's also a very short runway, so that's why they've had to use the helicopters. But you can see the winds. The winds have been super gusty, so over the weekend, some of the Chinooks had to divert. All of that has added enormous stress to the people who live in Puck. We now know that most of them, if not all of them, as we speak right now, are out, thankfully. They've come through here to the Paw, and if we just go through here, this is a hangar at the airport where the Red Cross has been giving people the food, the blankets, the accommodation, and sort of the time they need to figure out what's next. And the most important thing right now is getting people a place to stay and getting them a level of comfort. This has been a really rough stretch. It is only early June, and the big anxiety here is this is going to be a long, hot summer. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News in the Paw.
Smoke from all of the western wildfires is traveling far and wide. It's heading east across Canada and stretching down to the southern United States. And that's creating a lot of haze that brings significant health hazards with it. Alison Northcott explains.
This was how thick the smoke was on the Opaskwayak Cree Nation in northern Manitoba Sunday.
The smoke was so bad, you could barely see 200 yards, and most of the people that were working outside were coughing, and they were complaining about feeling short of breath.
The community's leadership helped people at risk, seniors and those with health problems like asthma, leave the community to escape the smoke.
We had them go to Winnipeg, where it's a little bit less smoky, we hope, but we hear it's down there too.
There have been air quality alerts across several parts of the country, with wildfire smoke also spilling into the U.S.
It's sure smoky in Minnesota today.
Those aren't clouds, that's Canadian smoke.
Breathing smoky air is more than just uncomfortable. It can be risky.
The particles that you breathe in, they get into your lungs, they get into your bloodstream, and they cause both risks to your heart health, but also your respiratory health.
That's particularly true for people who have underlying health conditions, and the risk can be compounded over time.
As these wildfires are happening more frequently, they're happening longer, we're actually seeing risks like certain types of cancer, so brain cancer, longer-term cardiovascular impacts that are coming from repeated exposures to wildfires.
But there are things you can do to lower your exposure.
Head inside, keep your windows and doors closed as much as possible, and then you need to filter those fine particles from the smoke.
And if you do go out on a smoky day, experts suggest wearing an N95 mask.
Health Canada says people should also keep an eye on the Air Quality Health Index online to know when the air quality is a health risk. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
It's been a decade since Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission issued its calls to action for this country. There were recommendations meant to improve the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people and to address the legacy of residential schools. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson shows us what's changed for kids learning in school.
From attending a powwow to daily lessons about the land, this Ontario teacher, though not Indigenous, incorporates Indigenous knowledge in her lessons.
It's absolutely my responsibility to go and make sure I am learning about resources and context that we can bring into the classroom.
It's now been 10 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action. Of the 94 recommendations, 12 include references to education, including make age-appropriate curriculum on residential schools, treaties, and Aboriginal peoples' historical and contemporary contributions to Canada a mandatory education requirement. Something that now does exist in every province and territory, but isn't always compulsory. The popularity of the Orange Shirt Day also indicates where we're at, says this author and professor, who is also the son of the late TRC author Maurice Sinclair.
How many of you have an orange shirt in your closet that you pull out at least once a year? And nearly every hand in communities across this country go up. That tells you that there is progress being made. Not enough progress, because it is just simply one day where we commit to talking about the impact of residential schools. Can we do it for the other 364 days in a year?
Another call to action refers to financial support and self-governance of schools that cater to primarily Indigenous students. The First Nations School Board in the Yukon is one of a handful in the country that do that.
And so it was about changing how we're teaching in the schools from the structured literacy support to taking kids on the land.
Elsewhere, student enthusiasm for learning from and about Indigenous people is there.
One thing we do is we do sit spots where we go outside in nature and we say thank you to what nature has given us.
They shake from the land and they give back to the land.
A living testament to the power of Maurice Sinclair's words. Education got us into this mess. Education can get us out of it. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Autonomous robots are hitting the sidewalks of a Toronto area community. They're delivering food orders for Skip, formerly Skip the Dishes. They've partnered with a Waterloo robotics company to launch the 3-month pilot project. Michelle Song has more on how it works.
It's got wheels, a display with facial expressions, a cooler, and it could deliver your next food order.
So we're going to place an order for some croissants.
Food delivery app Skip partnered with Waterloo-based robotics company Real Life Robotics to launch a 3-month pilot project in downtown Markham, giving their customers in the area the option to choose the spot as its form of delivery.
If you're within this 2-kilometer radius, you'll get access to getting the choice of your order being delivered by a robot.
So it's basically a cooler with wheels.
The pilot was approved by the city of Markham, and it aims to further understand how these robots could navigate urban spaces. It drives on sidewalks, and it's accompanied by a human guide. When asked if the robots could become a hazard for pedestrians,
So the robots are equipped with a suite of sensors that give them a high degree of spatial awareness, so they know where they are in the world and what's around them and obstacles and that sort of thing.
They should be able to classify in real time whether this pedestrian is, walking alone or walking with someone. Those sort of things are something that need to be, built into these perception systems.
this expert says robots like these are the future, and it's important to be proactive and think about how to regulate this technology.
We should be making sure that the lessons learned from one pilot, they are, translated into bigger and more sustainable sort of solutions.
Both Skip and Real Life Robotics say they've had hundreds of successful orders so far, and it hopes to eventually expand the use of these robots into cities across Canada in the next few years, alongside its human couriers. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the town of Riverview, New Brunswick has installed a dog stick library at the Mill Creek Nature Park. There are no fines for late returns, but dogs are responsible for restocking the inventory. Have a look.
I saw this video of this golden retriever getting a stick from a dog stick library somewhere in the south on a beach, and it made me smile and it made me kind of laugh, and I thought that's kind of a cool idea that I thought, maybe that's something that we could do here in Riverview that, again, just to bring smiles and happiness, and, to me, it's a positive mental health piece. Sit. Turn around. Oh, good boy. This morning, my dog Mason, he interacted with it for the first time, so we walked up the trail, he spotted it, and we went up to it. He sniffed a couple of sticks that were sitting there, and he picked out one. I told him it was okay to grab it, and he took it, and we started walking down the trail. Oh boy, you give me that stick. You give me that stick. Oh, what a good boy. The idea is that, folks come in. If a dog's interested in grabbing a stick while they're walking on leash, they can take one, and then hopefully they bring it back. And if not, it's Mother Nature. It's all good if the stick's not returned. It's meant to be, it's just something fun and lighthearted in the park.
Here.
know. I think it's a great idea. I mean, the dog's, you know, he's looking for sticks when he walks anyway, so, and then maybe not every dog wants one. So, you know, he likes the stick, so he took it and had a nice little walk with it. He'll probably drop it when he gets farther on, and then he'll walk for a while and then grab another stick, and that's kind of how he does it. But I think it's a great idea. It's like book libraries for people. This is for the dogs and gives them something to amuse themselves, right?
Dogs must be on a leash when they're in our parks and on our trails, and yeah, we've seen all kinds of photos online of folks taking you know, posting photos of their dogs on leash carrying sticks, and that's what the expectation is for sure.
So it's not to play fetch.
No, it's definitely not to play fetch. Yeah, it's I mean, if you can keep your dog on leash, and you know, sometimes with him, he'll drop his stick and I'll throw it, you know, a couple of feet for him and he'll retrieve it and he's happy. I think that was the idea behind it.
He's happy. Well, Canada's main stock index edged up today, and U.S. markets climbed as investors tried to tune out the latest noise from Donald Trump's tariff war. Here's a look at where things closed as we head to commercial break.
The weather update is brought to you by Tourisme Gaspésie. Plan your stay in Gaspésie at tourismegaspésie.com and enjoy extraordinary moments.
All right, so beautiful weather coming, but we need to tweak the timing a little, right?
Yeah.
I like it in the middle of the week, but...
I mean, thank goodness we are at least getting the middle of the week. We're getting some nice weather, but we just cannot seem to thread the needle for the weekend. No. And looking back at the numbers today, I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
March, like mid-March.
That's wild.
Since we've had... Now we've had nice weekend days, but that's the last time we had 2 nice weekend days with no precipitation was mid-March. So it has been a while, and the trend will continue this weekend.
But we need the rain, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. When you look at what's happening out west, we'll take a bit of rainy weather on the weekend. Let's have a look at our viewer picture of the day, and this one we're going to zoom in on a beautiful spot, Jake's Landing at Gejimgujik National Park.
Oh, so pretty.
Agnes and John, they were there last week when they took this picture.
Don't you feel relaxed looking at it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a little serenity.
It's such a beautiful park, and thanks to Agnes and John for sharing. Keji's going to be a fantastic spot for tomorrow. Temperatures there should be around 26, 27 degrees, and we're going to be looking at that similar story up across northern parts of Nova Scotia. Even along the Atlantic coastline, those winds are going to be light enough that it shouldn't be too much of a sea breeze unless you're right along the coast. I think a little more pronounced sea breeze on Thursday. The winds will be a bit stronger from the south, but still just an absolutely stellar day. Not much humidity with this air mass, which is great as well. Though I think maybe a few AC units are going to be up and running here over the next couple of days. So there's the trend, and as you can see for Friday and into the weekend,
Yeah.
Oh,
well, nothing we can do.
No, that's true.
Well, a good food fight requires some really bad tomatoes. The squishier, the better. Yeah, this is the Grand Tomatina Colombia Festival. It takes place every year in a town north of the country's capital. The main ammo, about 45 tons of tomatoes that are overripe or not suitable for consumption. A bloody-looking fight that leaves the ground beneath it red with juice.
It's a tribute to the residents of a town that mostly produce and live off tomatoes. The annual festival attracts some 20,000 visitors.
There's going to be some stains on the clothing, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
That is it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take care.